Hello and welcome back. So, I like to, well, talk to myself. I do that quite often, especially when I'm driving. And the people, my mother, parents, grandparents, teachers, all these other people always said, um, well, that's fine. Always said that it's fun talking to yourself until you answer back. And that got me thinking, why do we talk to ourselves just to at all? I honestly don't know the reason. I don't know the reason. I haven't sat there and looked at it or studied it. I'm pretty sure if I did, I could find the reason. But where's the fun in that? Where's the fun in finding the answer by reading? Why not think about the answer and just say what we think, right? Just go ahead and say the wrong information and get corrected somewhere. So I think the reason why we talk to ourselves is it lets us, while running the inner monologue, which is something that we'll cover here in a second. Let me stop. Let me stop getting ahead of myself. Everyone is supposed to have an inner monologue. You know how you can be doing something or saying something or eating something's going on around you and you're thinking about it, running through what's going on in your mind, and you hear a voice in your own head that is, it's your inner thought, like, oh, that looks pretty good. You think to yourself, oh, that looks pretty good. You don't say it, but you stare and look at it, and you think that basically imagining a voice talking to you in your own head. That's the inner monologue. That is your inner monologue. That's what everyone is supposed to have at some point in time. Whether you realize it's there or not is where things start to get weird. So, the NPC epidemic. If you don't know what that is the idea that people don't have an inner monologue. There are people who just simply do not have an inner monologue. And when they're not actively engaging in conversation, they just kind of exist. Even people who say they don't have an inner monologue, when asked what is it like to think, then they said, well, just pictures appear and that's about as far as it goes. Or I'm just always doing something. It's kind of shocking, honestly, and that's where people who saw that study started thinking, well, they kind of sound like NPCs, where if you don't interact with them, they kind of just mindlessly do something. And that's kind of what an NPC does, in games at least. Like Oblivion, or Skyrim, Fallout, or we'll go with those three. Or, let's throw I haven't played The Witcher, so I can't throw that in. But the few games I played that I listed: Oblivion, Skyrim, and Fallout games. You, the player, are the inner monologue. You play as the inner monologue for your character. All the NPCs, they're NPCs. We know that they're not real. We know that if we don't interact with them, they might say something, but other than that, they don't actively do anything, really. They have a few idle tasks they do. They roam, they shoot, they eat. That's about all they do. They might say a little witty comment here and there, but they don't have it in a monologue. Now, apply this to real life. You're walking down the street, and the whole time you walk down the street, you're thinking, oh, why is that building blue? It should be gray, or, look, there's so many people here, they're all wearing red shirts. Are they all going to the same place? Stuff like that. And that's your inner monologue, because you are actively thinking about your environment, and you are actively making mental accounts of what's going around you. You're connecting dots, you're asking questions to yourself, and that's fine. That's all fine. That's fine. Nothing's wrong with that. But now imagine you walk out, you leave, you wake up, you get dressed, and the whole time you're just not thinking about anything. You're just focused on the task. That's all you're doing. You're focused on the task. You step out of your house and you just focus on the task, walking to work, or going to work, going in the car, driving the car, whatever you're doing. You just focus on the task. And no other thoughts cross your mind other than the task at hand. You don't happen to pay attention to anyone around you. You just go to the job, you do the job, you do only the thing required to get the job done. You go home, you do your relaxing activity, and you just focus on the relaxing activity. You don't think about anything else, and then you go to bed. That sounds like your average day, but minus the whole letting your mind wander and think about random things. What I described is the average day for people who would be considered NPCs who don't have the inner monologue. And that's kind of scary to think about. There are people out there who just don't think unless they're forced to think by someone interacting with them. If left to their own devices, they will not have an inner monologue. They would just continue to do a set routine over and over again. It's not, and someone's going to say, "Oh, that sounds like autism." It's not, though, because autistic people have inner monologues as well. It's something different. It's something weird. So some people think that this NPC thing bolsters some people's claim that we live in a simulation, and these people without inner monologues are NPCs that don't realize they're NPCs. Which, honestly, why would you let someone who doesn't have any ability to be anything but someone else's, I guess, just a space user, a space holder, I guess, or just basically non-existent person. No, they're non-existent. Like you wouldn't let your firstborn child know that the only reason they exist is to give parts to the second child. You wouldn't do that. I know that analogy doesn't work very well, but it goes into other things. Because we have the inner monologue, it's so important to human life that we actually have parts of plays called the monologue, in which we narrate ourselves what we're going to do, our plans, and everything else. And that monologue is what I do myself all the time. If I'm by myself and I just want to hear another voice, hear a voice in general, or I can't hear it on my phone for whatever reason because I have no signal or just don't feel like listening to whatever I can find on my phone, I will talk and talk and talk and talk. I will talk out scenarios. I will talk out ideas. I will sit there and come up with an idea, tear it apart, rebuild it, and come up with a better one all by myself by just poking holes in my own ideas. That might be why I am so slow to make a decision sometimes, because I will sit there and tear apart my own ideas or decision-making skills because I know I could probably do better, or my idea isn't the best idea at the time. And I'll just keep doing that over and over again. Is it embarrassing if someone walks in on me talking to myself? Yeah, it's fucking embarrassing. But it's just because it makes no sense for me to be going into so much detail talking to myself. But that's me. Now back to the inner monologue and why the talking to yourself is probably just your inner monologue talk coming out. Why is that okay? Because it is. There's nothing wrong with talking to yourself. Even if you get an answer back, if you know you're answering your own question, you're fine. It's when you get an answer back that is not your voice, or you don't know where that answer came from, is when you start having problems. So, now that we have the inner monologue stuff taken care of, and the actual monologue stuff taken care of, we have an idea of NPCs. Let's talk about something else that I discovered from VR chat. And this ties into something older from Tumblr, and that's called Headspace Mates, or Headmates. Headmates was the idea that you exist, your personality, your mind exists, but then there's something else, someone else, or another being that lives in your head that fronts, meaning that they take control of the front, they take control, and they're the ones actually in control of you at the time. And this is where things get interesting. Because if you go back on Tumblr and you find some of these old blog posts, you can find some people who apparently had, Loki, Doctor Who, and a Weeping Angel all in their head. And they're all fighting each other and trying to separate them out, and it makes no sense. Or some people who have, 4 or 5 or 12 different headmates all in their head, and they all, do some slightly different things. Take on a deeper voice here for one character, or they might talk like a little girl for another character, or they might act like a child who can't even form sentences because one of the headmates is a small child for some reason. It's all attention. It's all attention stuff. If you want to know where that movie, what was 21 or 19 or that weird movie in which the guy has all these multiple personalities, and the last one is the Beast, and it lets him basically go Super Saiyan. That essentially is the trope for multiple personality disorder. That's what headmates. That's what people who say they have headmates want to be. They want to be that guy. Split. There you go, Split. The movie Split, I think that's what it's called. But that's what they want. That's what they think they have. They want that. They want that so much. Why? It's because they want to be special snowflakes, special little individual, special people. Now we go to VR chat, and now we have something new, and that is multiple basically another. It's 3 letters. Begins with an M. I can't remember the letters of it now, but I'm sure I can. I have to watch another video to figure out what exactly the name is. I'll probably make an update. I'll put it in the comments or an invitation or something, or I'll do something about it. But it's the same concept of headmates, where they have multiple people, multiple personalities in their head, and one takes over different issues, or age regression. That's age regression is still another thing, but these people have multiple personalities that get triggered when certain things happen in VR chat, and so it lets them, just completely say, "Oh no, that wasn't me. That was someone else," and other people will roleplay with that or play along with that because all of them are. You can't call out one mental illness that's fake and and not call out someone else's obvious fake mental illness or your own fake mental illness. And that's kind of the thing that is going on in VR chat right now. Everyone has to have something wrong with them to be special, to be treated special. And that's what everyone wants. They want to be treated special. And the best way to do that is to have a fake mental illness. And this multiple personality one lets you basically role play any kind of way you want to at any given moment. Oh, what's that? You want to be an aggressive little asshole and yell at people? Well, one of your multiple personalities that you have is fronting right now, and that's the one that's mean to everyone. So they're gonna say all this mean stuff, and then once you're done being mean, you can say, "Oh, sorry guys, one of my personalities took over. That was Jeffrey. Jeffrey's a mean one, isn't he? Well, I'm back to being normal now. Oh no, people are mad at me. Well, I'm gonna get sad now. I'm fronting. Oh, here comes Lewis. Lewis is a sad little boy. He's only 8. I don't know any better. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that Jacob was mean to you. I'm not Jacob. I'm Lewis. And you see how this goes. Never being able to act however you want to in any given moment and not take responsibility for any actions or anything else. But you have other people who you interact with which play along, give you the carrot, and never give you the stick. and that is not good, because that leads to other issues. And we'll cover those here in a little bit. So, the other thing I mentioned before, which was age regression by mistake, age regression is another thing that is weird. So, age regression is a real thing. There have been cases of people actually mentally, something traumatic happens and then mentally get stunted, or they are able to be, usually through hypnotism or something else, mentally regress down to a younger version of themselves. Not permanently, but for a little bit. And that's to help with deal with trauma. Then you got VR chat, where people randomly age regress down to toddlers or infants and just roleplay, and that it's creepy to see. And you have people who will, support you acting that way and everything else, to the point where it has to be a fetish. It has to be a fetish at this point, because there's nothing else. There's no way it's not a fucking fetish. And it's weird. It's weird. I'm sorry. Hey, my name's Jimmy. By the way, in about 10 minutes, or if you say something mean to me, I'm gonna regress down to little Jimmy. And little Jimmy is a 3-year-old boy who can't use the bathroom by himself yet, so I'm gonna need you to change me. But you understand that? Yes, there are people who do the whole changing thing, and VR chat is a spy hole into a spyglass into the sick minds of, well, people who have nothing going for them at all, period, and just allowed to exist without any repercussions. It's kind of sad. Other things in VR chat is the family dynamic. See, VR chat has a weird family dynamic where you can come across people who say, oh, this is my daughter, this is my father, this is my cousin, this is my other children, this is my grandmother, and none of them are related. And some of them are actually older than the ones they say are older than them. So you have an 18-year-old saying, oh, this 16-year-old is my father. Or a 20-year-old saying, oh, this 80-year-old woman's my daughter, or sister, or cousin, or whatever. And that's weird. I understand the whole family dynamic because, once again, modern media keeps pushing, don't worry about the family you were born with, focus on the family you found, the found family, the family you put together yourself by finding people you liked and say, you're my family now, which is fine. Have friends and family exists. Having that is fine. Finding people that you trust or like a family member, that's fine. That is 100% fine. Nothing's wrong with that. Some people have terrible family lives. But then you have people who push away their actual family, who does want to, be there for them, to have their friend family, which is interchangeable without any repercussions. And that's a downside of pushing the found family over the actual family, is that you are more likely to end up in a cycle of pushing away those who actually care about you for those who you can get something from immediately, or you feel are more compatible with you at that moment. Until they're not. VR chat is full of people like this, where they have entire groups of people who say they're all family, and it gets weird. To the point where it seems like a fetish as well, a sexualization of the family. And that's where it gets really, really awkward. Because you can have people who say, oh, by the way, brother and sister, or mother and father, but then they flirt. Oh, son and daughter, the family, the weird family dynamics, they all start flirting with each other. And that's weird. You can see this. You can go to VR chat and find the family units like this, and you can see them actually flirt with each other. And that's the part that gets weird. Because they're not actually family, but they talk like they are, they act like they are, and then they just flirt. Like they're attempting to be lovers are courting each other, and that it's weird. Once again, VR chat is a spyglass into the fucking hell that is the human mind. So I think we're gonna do one more thing about VR chat, and that'll probably be the end of this video for right now. At least this series. I'm eventually probably going to stream from VR chat or record from VR chat. I'm going to actually dive in there and actually look at some weird stuff, see if I can find anything weird. Unlike proximity chat, I'm not going to sit there and proximity chat really does do that very often. But other people who are trying to copy proximity chat, I'm not going to sit there and antagonize. I'm just going to observe and document. But the last thing I want to talk about is the obsession with the people not understanding that you kind of need to keep the adult stuff out of a video game that has children who can access it. And this is something that keeps getting brought up for VR chat over and over again, is you have people who constantly have these 18 plus rooms, but they don't verify your age other than when's your birthday or how old are you. And some people don't even get that. Then you have all these minors in extremely sexual situations because you have people walking in with models that are flat out naked, just completely naked, or with sexualized versions of characters, and there's just this minor just hanging out there. Some people have found minors as young as 8, 10 in some of these rooms that are supposed to be 18 plus. Mind you, there's no way to verify 18 plus, but that's beside the point, right? Anyway, let me pause here. Alright, I think we're recording again. Hard for me to tell sometimes. Yep, we are. So, sorry, phone call, and I gotten better at pausing the video when recording. No big deal. But yeah, there are quite a... see, Andrew saw my son finally. It's fun. There is... there's just a lot of weird stuff involving VR chat, which involves minors getting into very sexual situations with people who know better. And there are people who will sit there and say, oh, they're mature for their age. You can go to proximity chat's videos and find people who defend that. And it's getting out of hand. VR chat, when it first came out, was an interesting little thing. People jump in and talk to each other. But now it's becoming more and more desensitized and degenerate. I expect that either VR chat will start to have to tighten the screws down on their moderation and actually require real IDs or actual IDs to be uploaded to your account in order to access certain rooms that get marked 18 plus. Or if you try to run a world that has a bunch of adult content in it and you don't mark it 18 plus and actually have it where you have to only allow verified 18 plus accounts into your world, you're gonna get banned permanently, hopefully, but it's highly doubtful. If you look at the VR chat developer stream they did not too long ago, they outright say that we support the 18 plus community, making all these worlds that kids can just wander into. They have this not making any verifications or any way to keep children from wandering into these worlds or being pulled into the worlds. VR chat's going downhill, and it doesn't help with people once again faking mental illnesses just to seem special, and you have all these children getting involved with that stuff, getting influenced to do certain things, and it all goes back to Discord overall, and everything's going bad. Everything involving VR chat is going terrible. Hopefully, it gets fixed at some point, but I doubt it. I haven't been on VR chat in like 5 or 4 or 5 years. Even then, it's me on my monitor because I don't have anything else. I don't have the a VR headset or anything else. I just got on the monitor because me and a few friends downloaded the VR chat because we thought it'd be funny to see what was going on. We had fun wandering around, uh, getting little models and just messing with people. Anyway, you guys have a good day. I'll talk to you later, hopefully. Hopefully. As soon as I can get this stupid... There we go.